Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Marathon, day 13. And today we're talking about my favorite MCU movie of all time, Avengers Age of Ultron. I've been waiting to talk about this movie because I feel I have the need to defend it. A lot of people weren't crazy about this movie. Can you believe that? In this movie, Tony Stark creates an artificial intelligence known as Ultron to defend the world just in case the aliens come back. But it goes rogue and decides that it needs to turn its sights on humanity and extinct the human race once and for all, and it's up to the Avengers to stop them. I don't have to tell you, man, the hype for this movie was off the charts. People wanted to see what this movie would be like since the Avengers was such a huge success. And when they announced that Ultron was going to be the villain, I was very excited because Ultron was one of the Avengers' biggest nemesis in the comics and in the cartoon. So I was really psyched to see how they would portray him on the big screen. And not only that, but we were going to get some new characters as well, such as Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and the Vision. I was so hyped for this movie. I got to the theater on opening day at 12:30 in the afternoon, just so I could get a good seat. The show didn't start until 7 o'clock. I was ready for another Avengers movie. I was so pumped because the first one was unheard of, and now we're going to get a sequel to that. And the universe is just going to get bigger, and I was super hyped. And this movie did not let me down. First, I'm going to tell you overall why I love this movie so much and why I think it's, one of the better films in the MCU. From front to back, the Avengers are together as a team. The first movie was about assembling them and having them work together. This time, they skip all of that. The opening scene is them rushing a Hydra base to get Loki's staff. You get an awesome one-track shot followed by the team posing in slow motion. It's like a Saturday morning cartoon. This movie makes me feel like a kid again. It's so great. The last movie, it felt almost like a S.H.I.E.L.D. movie with the Avengers in it, but no, this is Earth's mightiest heroes doing what they do best. Every character gets to shine once again, especially Hawkeye, who's been relegated to the background since his introduction in Thor. This time, you get to see more depth into his personality, and it's revealed that he has a family. That's why he hasn't been around during Phase 2. It's because he has a secret family. And it was a great twist. It shows him what he's fighting for, why he's on the team. It's to protect his loved ones. And he gets a great moment at the end with Scarlet Witch, where he gives her a speech saying, if you go out there, you're an Avenger. Because he has to motivate her because she's scared. This invasion is freaking her out. He also gets another great line saying, the city is flying, we're fighting robots, and I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense. I love Hawkeye. I'm finally glad that he realized his character and he gets to shine here. As for the new characters, you got the Vision, which I think is really dope. He feels like we know him already since he has Jarvis's voice. I mean, he says he's not Jarvis, but to me, he'll always be Jarvis, who's been Tony's AI since the first Iron Man. So it was cool to see that actor, Paul Bettany, come to screen and portray a superhero, because if anyone deserves to be a superhero after all this time, it's Jarvis. It's been a big help to Iron Man and the team overall. And then you got the Maximoff twins. In the comics, they were X-Men, but here, they're not mutants. They get their powers from the Mind Stone. Quicksilver, and his name, as you can tell, he's super fast. He's played like Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was also Kick-Ass. And Elizabeth Olsen plays the Scarlet Witch. She has all these crazy mind powers. She gives the Avengers these nightmares. She can read minds, I guess. It's kind of hard to tell. She helps the evacuation of Sokovia by controlling the citizens and telling them where to go. She has all these great powers, but you don't really see her use them again. The only powers you see her use is her telekinesis, where she's just moving things around and stuff. But I think this character has a lot of potential, and she's getting a TV show soon, so I can't wait to see more of her. And let's just talk about the death Quicksilver gets in this movie, which is crazy because he's super fast. You would think he'd be able to outrun those bullets. A lot of people thought Hawkeye was gonna die, but no, it is Quicksilver who bites the bullet. And I was very sad, but I do understand why they did that. They felt like they needed a big death in this movie, and they didn't want to get rid of the original crew, so he had to go. Also, having a speedster on the team, it would be it would kind of be overpowerful because he would be able to solve a lot of issues. You know, that's the problem with having a character that powerful is the stakes get lowered because he can do so many things at a high speed. And that also, they thought they would have used his death as motivation for Scarlet Witch's character, but unfortunately he's never really talked about again, and that's a bummer. Also returning, they brought back War Machine. They realized, hey, he's available, let's use him. The Falcon gets a cool cameo. Here he says he doesn't like avenging, that's Steve's world, but at the end of the movie you see him on the new roster. So I would like to see, why he changed his mind. But I don't care. More Falcon is always good for me. They got Maria Hill working with the Avengers. I haven't talked about her character that much because, unfortunately, she doesn't really have one. But I like her in a supporting role. She's a great help to the team. And I guess as the actor, I just like her overall. I want to see her take more initiative in this franchise. I want to see more of her. And I hope they give her more to do in the future. Nick Fury shows up in the finale with the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. Now, for those who don't know, there's been a TV show on the air called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where Phil Coulson's actually resurrected, and he's leading like a secret S.H.I.E.L.D. team to go on these missions. He was the one that told Maria Hill about Loki's scepter, and Maria Hill's the one that got the Avengers to reassemble to get that scepter. Also, Phil Coulson was the one that gave the helicarrier to Nick Fury at the end. That's basically as much crossover as these television shows get. It doesn't get bigger than that. But even without that context, you see, it's good to see a S.H.I.E.L.D. doing what they're supposed to do, and that's being backup for the Avengers. They have the life rafts. They're saving the civilians, and that's what I want S.H.I.E.L.D. to do. I don't want them to be an overwhelming presence. I want them to support our main heroes. Speaking of our main heroes, they come back in full force, and they got a lot going on. Got Black Widow, who is starting a little romance with Bruce Banner. People have had problem with that, but I think it feels very genuine in their chemistry. It doesn't feel forced like Thor and Jane. All they do is make puppy eyes at each other. I don't feel like they actually like each other. They don't even know each other. But here, Bruce is her teammate, so it would make sense that she would develop feelings, and she's also the only one that could calm the Hulk down. And again, I like this relationship because it feels organic. It doesn't feel out of place. I'm perfectly cool with it. You'll see a little bit of her past during her nightmare sequence, which it's always intriguing to get a little more of Black Widow's history because she's a mysterious character. And Bruce Banner is basically Sony's science bro in this, and he's also learned that the Hulk can be a hero. One of my few problems with this film is that the Hulk kind of disappears during the third act finale, but the reason for that, Joss Whedon, the director of this movie, has said he was supposed to turn gray, and the gray Hulk is very intelligent, but they chose to save that for another time. He doesn't turn gray here, so he literally just rips one robot's head off and then he disappears until the group shot at the end. But he has this awesome Hulkbuster fight in the middle of the movie, so that makes up for it. And then we got Thor, the god of thunder, who has a little side quest in a hot tub, and that's a lot of where the criticism came from. They thought this movie was setting up too much in terms of the future. Of course, they do set up a few things, but I don't think it's intrusive to the overall plot of the movie. This is a self-contained story about this crazy robot named Ultron. And you do get hints of future movies. You get hints of Black Panther, of course, Thor Ragnarok, and maybe just a dab of Civil War. But I don't think it distracts from the main plot of the film. As for Thor's scene in the hot tub, I feel like they wanted to give him information about the Infinity Stones. They just didn't know exactly how to do it with him being on Earth. There was a deleted scene with Loki. Maybe that would have tied things in a little bit clearer, but it was cut. But they just needed a member of the Avengers to know about these stones and how all this came about. I think a rewrite would have fixed that part of the movie. But again, it's so quick, it doesn't disturb my overall enjoyment one bit. But yeah, Thor's here, and the part where Vision picks up his hammer, is a great cheerful moment for the crowd. And it shows quickly that the Avengers can trust this dude. So that's great. Captain America is still badass from the Winter Soldier. He is in full leader mode here, telling the Avengers what to do. And he has the best costume of the entire franchise in this film. This jacket, which used to fit me, it's a medium. This is his best costume yet. This is the costume he should have had from the beginning. And I love it. He even has a magnet on his wrist to call back his shield. Even though his shield comes back to him regardless. He still has a magnet, just in case he wants to be stubborn. But yeah, Cap is great in this film. He has a little moment with Peggy Carter who makes a cameo here. And you can see that, his past still haunts him. He's not a perfect character, He realizes he can't have the life that he wanted back in the 40s. The Avengers are his new life. And this is what his main focus is now. Especially at the end of the movie where they establish a brand new Avengers base. Then of course we wouldn't even have a movie without Tony Stark playing mad scientist. He might have gotten over his PTSD in Iron Man 3, but he's still obsessed with saving the world, protecting it. He's still scared of those aliens coming back. So he does the one thing that he feels will end the team once and for all, and that's create a bouncer to protect the world from aliens. And of course it backfires because Tony Stark is really good at making his own enemies. The Maximoffs start off as enemies because a Stark bomb killed their parents. This dude, everywhere he goes, he just creates trouble. And then he does maybe the third dumbest thing in the Marvel universe, where after Ultron's created, he wants to create another superbot without telling the team. How are you doing these things without telling your teammates? It's amazing that anyone would want to trust this guy after what happens in this movie, because he's just so reckless. He has good intentions, but his execution is horrible. Ultron himself, for the most part, is pretty great. He's played by a good actor, but my biggest complaint here is he has Tony Stark's personality, and that was a missed opportunity. Ultron in the cartoon, he's cold, he's menacing, he's very intimidating. Here it just feels like Tony Stark in a robot suit trying to destroy the world. And it's just frustrating because in the trailers he came off as cold and menacing, but here he's kind of making jokes and monologuing, but still, overall, I like his design. His first appearance at the party scene is pretty creepy, and that's what Ultron should be. He should be threatening. You shouldn't know what he's about to do next. Speaking of that parting scene, I could watch a 2-hour movie of that scene alone. I just love that the Avengers get to power down and hang out and shoot the shit. This movie also has my favorite Stan Lee cameo. He's a war veteran, and he's getting drunk with Thor and Captain America. And he says his signature catchphrase, Excelsior. The Winter Soldier cameo he had is a close second, but this one is so great because he's getting drunk with characters he created. Like, imagine yourself doing that. Like, you create a character and then you're getting drunk with that character. Like, your persona or something. Like, how crazy would that be? I love it. I think this movie has one of like the craziest finales of any Marvel movie. Again, with the sky flying. it's this is like a pure, this is as comic book as you can get. And of course, Nick Fury is there and he has the beeper to call Captain Marvel, but he sends War Machine to take care of the robots because priorities. Thanos shows up at the very end to remind everyone that he still exists. He puts on this golden glove and it has 3 holes in it. What could the holes mean? This scene is another weak part of the movie. I feel like Joss Whedon just wanted to shoot it and get it over with. The director who also did the first Avengers movie, he was very burnt out by this movie. And it kind of shows he had to fight for the Hawkeye farm scene. And I'm glad he did because it's one of the best scenes in the movie where where things are just quiet and you can take a breather with these characters. The Thanos scene, they could have been more built up to it. They could have shown the gauntlet being made and then he would show up and make like some kind of monologue about grabbing the Infinity Stones, which in this movie, Loki's staff is revealed to be the Mind Stone, which is the 4th Infinity Stone we've seen in these movies so far. So even though we're not dealing with Thanos just yet, we're still building up to his end game. But basically this movie just has everything I want from an Avengers movie. It has a solid villain, has the Avengers teamed up front to end. It has bad guys turning into good guys and becoming new members of the Avengers. It's just great overall, and I really don't know why it got so much hate when it came out. I think at this point people were just being spoiled because they saw these characters team up already, and I don't know what they expected. I guess they just weren't blown away enough. I was satisfied. I always have a great time watching this film. I think it's the essential Avengers movie before things get way too crazy. Before we get to the clash of the Avengers, we have one more new character to introduce, and his name is Scott Lang. So join me tomorrow when we check out Ant-Man on the Marvel Movie Marathon. Thank you for watching.